because I've waited years for this.
Oh, for what?
To see. I mean, and this truly is historic.
Yeah.
To see the two heads of the two most powerful intel agencies in the country.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Referred for prosecution and under criminal investigation. Finally, the right people, the actual thugs, the actual criminals are under investigation.
It's about time.
It is. And when you look at, take Russia, for instance,
Oh, yes.
which, still very much has legacy systems left over from the USSR. And, how do you rise in politics there? As opposed to here. Well, here you might be on a city council, get elected to Congress, and maybe eventually you'll be president. No, in Russia, you come up through the intel agencies.
Yeah, if you're still carrying your KGB card, it's a big help.
Yeah, I mean, and your opponents get deep sixed, either literally deep sixed into the ground, as Comey helpfully said, and this is the example of this. James Comey, former director of the FBI, 8647. Okay, that's who that guy is. That is very Soviet. That's who he is. Think about who he is. He is an actual threat to the president. There's only two people that I know of threatening to kill the president right now. The former director of the FBI in Iran. By the way, did you know they put a $21 million bounty on Trump's head? Anybody know that?
I'd heard of bounty, but I didn't know the equivalent of $21
million. It's up to $21 million.
Okay.
That's after 2 death fatwas. That's in our language, that'd be two demands for death, 2 death threats.
Absolutely. Orders
is a good word for it, right? This is a very dangerous world we live in, and I'm having a hard time distinguishing James Comey and Iran. It's truly, these people need to face consequences for their actions. And so you look at Vladimir Putin, he came up through intel. Look at everybody around him. They came up through intel.
Yeah, there's a very, very, not much need for primary elections.
No.
Russia. Yeah.
That is happening here. And it's got to stop. It has got to stop. And this is the beginning of that, hopefully. John Brennan, former head of the CIA, is one of the most evil men to ever serve in American government. And he has gotten away with his crimes using statutes of limitation. Finally referred for an investigation. Criminal investigation. I just like saying that. Yeah. And prosecution. It feels good. It feels like justice. And these are the least of his crimes. What he's done here. And I don't want to wonk out on you too much, but here's basically what they did. They knew, John Brennan and James Comey knew. Our media is not explaining this very well, Roger. And once you get the explanation, you're like, dang. They knew Hillary Clinton faked the Steele dossier. They also knew that her campaign committed a felony and a misdemeanor in the process of creating that dossier. You cannot accept foreign donations, and you cannot make foreign donations.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, right.
You cannot contract with foreigners for an intel hit on the president. Okay. So we know that she was, her campaign actually was fined by the FCC. So it's not me speculating. I mean, literally the FCC fined her. She should have gone to prison for it. Right. So we know the Steele dossier is fake. It's the summer of 2016. That's how early we knew. We're in the middle of the campaign.
Yeah.
And never forget this. John Brennan, the head of the CIA, goes to the Obama White House, meets with Joe Biden and Barack Obama personally to tell them 2 things. Steele dossier is fake, came from the Hillary Clinton campaign. The whole Russia hoax is fake and came from the Hillary campaign. And he wanted them to know that Russia knew it was all fake. There was no interference.
Right.
There were no bots, no supporting President Trump, and that it was pissing Russia off. Russia was very angry.
And that don't worry, nothing's going to happen to Russia out of this. Yeah.
Right. And so, and John Brennan was so concerned that he make a record that he'd let them know he wrote handwritten notes to that meeting. That's the summer of 2016. This fool, head of the CIA, then tells the FBI the same thing by September. They know. We know they know. Then the two of them go before Congress and lie their butts off. Oh, no, it's all real. We've predicated this investigation. We have very real intel. We can't share it with you, of course, but we have very real intel that all of this Russia is real. And then Congress eventually finds out, Roger, that the Steele dossier is fake. Hillary made it up. Her campaign paid for it. So naturally, they haul these two clowns in and put them under oath, right?
Right. First thing. Yeah.
Hey, you basing this Russia thing, are you basing this off the Steele dossier? They said, no.
So give them an opportunity to lie again.
Yeah. Under oath.
Yeah, this time.
And, when we describe these things on our site, this is driving me nuts as a journalist, okay? Like, I actually made my living in journalism. Stop lying and covering for them. Well, they told Congress that the Steele dossier was not being used, but they were unethical. They were uncredible. They might have stretched the truth. No, it's a felony. Say it with me. Felony level perjury. So, Roger, suppose that you and I, you ever been in traffic court?
Oh, yeah.
You ever been hauled in traffic court?
Sure.
Right. Yeah. Suppose you had to talk to the judge, as we all have in traffic court.
Naturally.
Right. And you lied to the judge. Because you're sworn in, right?
Yeah, and the whoever the law enforcement involvement was has got a representative sitting right there. So,
yeah, and you lie.
And he's going to testify too. Yeah,
and that cop's like, no, I hear I could prove that's a lie. You just lied to the judge in traffic court, mind you.
Yes, you compounded your offense.
Yes,
that
is a felony.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do it. And I mean,
we can't do it.
Right, yeah. You're right. See, but that's the problem right there. You don't become royalty the moment they swear you in as a CIA agent or an FBI agent. You don't, it's interesting. I have 2 teenagers learning to drive right now that I'm teaching them to both to drive. Mm-hmm. So, every day I come in here as a gift. And I see you because you know how that goes, teaching teenagers to drive. Oh my gosh. It's scary. Anyway, and so that's dredged up a lot of, memories for me. I got sent, Roger, to remedial traffic school.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know there's 2 tiers of traffic school? There's traffic school, the 1-day one they make you take, if you get a certain number of points. And then there's the 2-day school. Oh. That's right. That's for people who did like 95 into 35 or ran from the cops and got caught or racked up a Dewey while speeding.
Yeah. Yeah. The most egregious offenders.
Those, and those are very bad traffic offenses. They put people's lives in. It's 2 days, 2 full days. Okay. So I rolled through a sting operation because apparently there'd been a big accident, right? My wheel on right, when I made a turn on red, did not come to a full stop. Okay. The officer agreed, yes, I did stop and I did intend to stop. And I basically almost stopped, like 95% away. But my wheel was turning just a little bit. But because it was a sting operation, they hit me with 2 charges. I got 4 points on my license.
Oh, ouch.
So obviously I had to spend a weekend in detention. Yeah. And I go there, and the traffic cop who's teaching the school, he's like, we all have to say what we did. One guy's like, I ran from the cops. Another guy's like, yeah, I did it. I'm on my second Dewey. And they're like, what'd you do? I'm like, well, my wheel did not completely stop turning. And he looks down at the clipboard, and he looks at me, and he looks at the clipboard, and he goes, are you in the right place? I said, yeah, I believe so. 2 charges. And he said, what did you say to that cop?
Yeah, I was going to say, how far did you run when you bailed out of the car?
Okay. I will admit I did get a bit mouthy. I know that's hard to believe that I would have do a thing like that, but I thought, were you talking maybe 4 points on my license? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That's how I ended up there. But anyway, I have done more time, Roger.
Yeah, you have. Than
these 2.
Than these guys, yeah.
I've 2 more times. I did a whole weekend.
Yeah.
These 2 took this Steele dossier lie to Congress, right? That's 5. I mean, felony level perjury carries a sentence of up to 5 years. But then they took the same lie to the FISA court, and they told it to get the ability to spy on Donald Trump, his campaign, everyone around it. I mean, we're talking deep dive into Melania's underwear drawer. We're talking Donald Trump cannot take a whiz without these guys knowing, because they're listening.
Yeah.
It's illegal. It was all illegal. It was all predicated on a lie. And I've done more time than they have.
I've decided the major flaw, as you mentioned, with the profession that we know and love, journalism as defined,
Yes.
is basically chronicle, and we don't see things happen until they happen
I know.
for the journalistic chronicle.
Yeah.
So we simply don't see a lot of stuff coming.
Well, get ready for the lies, the whining, the complaining. Trump is a dictator. He's trying to put John Brennan away. And I'm going to remind you who John Brennan is.
Yeah.
Coming up. Like nobody else will. Stick around.
Fair warning.
And I'm actually heartened by MAGA worlds continuing to hold the administration's feet to the fire. I think sometimes you would expect folks to sort of defer to the president, and that's just not happening. I think most of us who are on social media see that people are not satisfied with the answers from the administration, and they shouldn't be, because we had not just the attorney general, but also the director of the FBI and the deputy director of the FBI all say, those two gentlemen, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, say last year and the year before, Kash Patel said that that FBI and DOJ wouldn't do anything under the Biden administration, that it was up to Republicans in Congress to do it, and that DOJ and FBI wouldn't do anything about it because of who was on the list.
Keep in mind, Kash Patel had a very high-level security clearance, and this is what our FBI director sounded like 18 months ago.
That Bill Gates is lobbying Congress night and day to prevent the disclosure of that list. And why is it that the Senate, and good for Senator Blackburn to try to get it out, but then Dick Durbin comes over the top and says, no, we're not going to release the names. I don't care about the list itself, but if release the names, right? What the hell are the House Republicans doing?
What are you doing, dude? What are you doing? Well, yesterday, over and over and over again on X, where everything that's important happens, the word resign was trending. It's been going on a couple days, mainly aimed at Pam Bondi. Things got a little more complicated yesterday when Trump stepped up and defended her. That was weird. Now nobody knows what to do. So yesterday, Trump just blasts out this poor reporter for asking about Epstein. And that ricocheted all over the internet. It just absolute mess. And angry. And it shows you kind of, and you can see how this could be, it shows you kind of how Trump is inside of a membrane. That's not my words. That's Conservative Treehouse's tweet overnight. One of the biggest Trump supporters ever in the city. Yeah, he's inside a membrane. You have to puncture it. He really thought this would be no big deal. And he's obviously mad about it. This is the first thing I've ever seen. Overnight, calls for resignation from. You never see these people all agree on anything. Glenn Beck, Laura Loomer, biggest pro-Trump person ever. It's been a sidekick of his for years. Trump reduced Alex Jones to tears. I'm not kidding. He's actually crying online over this Epstein situation. Eric Erickson, who I can say now, he's not on the station anymore, is a smushy gush. Practically a Democrat, very moderate. He's calling for Bondi's resignation. It goes on and on. Emerald Johnson, on and on. It's like every faction of MAGA. There is no exception. There's nobody going, well, we should trust Trump. Nobody. I've never seen that before. And it's obviously getting to him.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Yeah. See, the problem is that the proverbial, you know what's about to hit the fan here. Because, their proof that Epstein did, in fact, kill himself is this video, right? You seen the video online? Yeah, look at it. Wow, it's we just got the video train on the cell. See, nobody went in. There's a minute missing from the video. We'll get into that in the next segment. Well, overnight, we find out there's kind of a big problem with that video. Oh, boy, is it big. You know that cell that the camera's focused on? Trump world, Trump team, all said, see, look, nobody came and went, so he killed himself. That's not Epstein's cell. Wait. The video camera was not focused on Epstein's cell? No. Well, what about the other door? Was that Epstein's cell? There's two doors in the video. Well, where's Epstein's cell? Well, you can't see it in the video. You can't see it in the video? No, it's off camera. Are you kidding me? And they didn't include that? No, they tried to hose you. Here's Glenn Beck's show breaking this yesterday, and it broke the internet.
So I looked around to see if there was any confirmation on what this cell was, and I found an OIG report from the Justice Department 2 years ago that shows the camera angle and the one camera that was actually working. So you can see the diagram, and I think we actually have it if you're watching this right now. There's a diagram that shows where this camera is. It shows where Epstein's cell is. And the big thing that stands out, Glenn, is this camera doesn't even have eyes on Epstein's cell at all. Like, not at all.
That's incredible.
4 different.
Remember how one of the cameras was conveniently out? That was the one with eyes on Epstein's cell. This doesn't prove that he killed himself. Oh, look, see, no one came to the cell. Yeah, you know what? You are literally being gaslit by the Trump administration. I never thought I would say those words. Well, that didn't go over well. And they're not sure how to deal with it. Laura Ingraham just brushed by it last night. But I want to play this for you to confirm what you're hearing on Glenn Beck.
Now, the video also doesn't show the door to Epstein's cell, but we do see what appears to be his last moments outside of it. The DOJ Inspector General says this blurry figure in orange is Jeffrey Epstein being escorted for the final time to his cell at 7:49 p.m. Nearly 11 hours later, an officer would find him dead.
Yes, that would be 11 hours where we have no video coverage on the cell, on Epstein's jail cell. Yes, thank you. So to put that video out and it's dishonest and dishonestly say, see, this proves he wasn't murdered. No, it doesn't. Now, in the video shot they give you, Bondi and friends, sure, you could have walked through that video to Epstein's cell, that like video angle. Problem is, you could have walked through the angle where there is no video because it's conveniently out. The video camera is out. And if you walk through that angle, you could have come in, thrown a party, and taken your sweet time killing him. You could have taken 2 hours killing him. You could have emerged covered from head to toe in blood. You could have emerged with 2 black eyes from your fight with Epstein. No one would know. They kind of didn't say that. I don't know. Is that kind of dishonest? Because to me, sure feels like it. So what is the motivation here by Team Trump? And Trump's in it now, too. He stood up for them. I don't know, but I can't wait to see the text line after this. 800-905-0989. This is the perfect intro music for me to announce. It's fact now. The Democrat Party is now launching terror attacks on America. It's okay. The IRS is going to get them. Joint press conference between the DOJ, IRS, and the FBI. They are investigating the funding, finally. This is going to go right back to the Democrat Party. It is. The Democrat Party has become a terror organization. Very clearly have seen that between McAllen, Texas, what happened there, and Alvarado. Black bloc, folks, go read the history of Nazi Germany. Black bloc clad, baklava, street thugs. They've brought them back. And the black bloc communists would clash with the brown shirts. Eventually, the brown shirts won, but they're all the same, birds of a feather. Democrat Party's brought them back while calling everybody else a fascist. It's unbelievable. I don't even know how this stuff happens. But anyway. So in order to assist in their apparent goal to murder ICE agents, Democrats want them unmasked. Now, we already know their street thugs are going to their homes, harassing their children online, showing up on their front porch, including over 1,000 who showed up at deportation czar Tom Homan's house. But it's not good enough. They want them unmasked so as to better hunt them. They're not even hiding it.
Democrats are doubling down on their anti-ICE stance with a new bill from Senators Cory Booker and Alex Padilla requiring ICE agents to be unmasked and carry a visible ID.
The bill is actually pretty straightforward. No face coverings, no mask. If you're out in the streets of Los Angeles, whether you're a citizen, a legal resident, or an undocumented immigrant, and somebody without these identifiers is approaching you, masked up, coming out of a marked car, you have no idea what's going on.
Despite the recent attacks on ICE agents, and let's be clear, Joe, those were attempted shootings and killings of ICE agents. They tried to kill these ICE agents, Joe. What are they doing here?
And let me answer your question with a question. How many Democrats have condemned those two ambushes that we saw last Friday and Monday against ICE agents and police officers that included one officer being shot in the neck, others surviving 20 to 30 rounds of shots from high-powered rifles carried out by far-left maniacs? 10 are now under arrest for attempted murder. Because unless we missed it, and I'm pretty sure we didn't, I haven't seen anyone on the left side of the aisle walk up to a microphone to condemn those attacks and defend those agents and officers. And yet here we have Senators Cory Booker, Alex Padilla, attempting to put ICE agents in a situation where their identities are known, that puts them in danger and their families in danger. This is only going to get worse before it gets better. And as Tom Homan said, this is going to result in our federal agents actually being killed. We already saw attempts on their lives just last week. And again, over the summer, as ICE agents try to do their job, you got to think more ambushes may be in store. And unless members of both sides of the aisle and the media condemn these without ambiguity, it's going to keep happening over and over again.
Yeah, and
think about this for a minute. They want them unmasked. Take a photograph and put them up on the internet, but they also want their IDs. What's on your ID? Your state issued ID, your address, so they can find you. Now, folks, before this last week, that was merely stone cold evil. With Democrats suiting up in black bloc, Antifa members, ambushing these officers, and they want them to carry and display their IDs, which have your address. Why? So they could just get you in the morning when you come out the door of your house, kill your wife and your kids? Folks, I told you Russia Revolution was going to happen. God, this is a textbook. It's textbook. This is what they did. It all started with the ambush of cops. And then they went to their homes. And eventually they tortured them in front of their families. That's how you got the Russian Revolution. That's how Russia ended up with communism. Russia didn't want communism. What the communists did, they killed over 22,000 people this way. And they had to do it through terror on a case-by-case basis. Folks, they even had a group just like Black Lives Matter where you would donate to them. And it would assist in their hunting, torture, and murder of police officers. And then they, in the beginning, they'd get hauled in. They still had a justice system. They'd try them. If you were on the jury and you found them guilty, they'd be at your house that night. They'd kill the judge. But worse, a lot of times they come out just torture you. Leave you alive to talk about it. And I really torture you. I'm not talking about waterboarding. I'm talking about leaving marks. And then everyone became so afraid. You are watching the pre-Soviet revolution. Folks, it went on for 20 years. You're watching it. They are using the textbook. This is it exactly. They don't have the numbers to fight us. So they're going to do it through terror. The Democrat Party is becoming a terror organization. There is no other way to put it. None. Now, somebody say it. Republican leadership needs to say it and stop these people. Again, they're just implementing federal law as on the books. If they don't like it, run on changing it. Run on open borders. You could take away ISIS power. You could just strip the law, but they don't want to do that. They want to lie and sneak their shadow electorate, their shadow voters, their shadow nation into this country, 20 to 50 million strong. And they want you to wake up one morning finding you live in a one-party system just like China, and then they will laugh and mock you. That's what they want. And they're willing to kill to get it. That started this week. Do you have stuff to do today? You better get it done fast. Headline, New York Post, July 9th. That's today. July 9th will be the shortest day in recorded history. Blame it on the moon, scientists say. We're in a very unusual time. Yeah, that goes without saying. By the way, did you see the moon this morning? Oh, it's gorgeous. Like something out of a movie. It's a just shy of a full moon, and it was unbelievable. Totally orange. Yeah, I was like looking for the werewolf. It looked like something out of a horror movie. But it was cool, though. It was really cool. Anyway, if today feels even shorter than your average day filled with too much to do, there's a scientific phenomenon that's to blame. This summer, Earth is suddenly spinning faster as a result of the moon's position. Experts say the celestial speed up will knock between 1.3 and 1.6 milliseconds off a typical 24 hours, resulting in the shortest day in recorded history. Phenomena ranging from seasonal changes to natural disasters can have a surprising impact on the speed. Latest disturbance in the force. Did they really write that? The latest disturbance in the force will be the 6th of its kind since 2020, and there's more to come. July 22nd and August 5th are expected to be similarly short, although today is, for now, the shortest ever recorded day in recorded history. So you better skedaddle. Meanwhile, did you see this? Bears look cute. They really do. I've seen a couple up near Table Rock. This is so cute, especially when they have babies. Well, 59-year-old man in California tried to help an injured bear on the side of the road. He's now made national news. It repaid him by mauling him. He was treated at a hospital for multiple injuries to his arm. Turns out he hit the bear with his car, felt really bad about it, got out to render aid. Problem is, it was a 400-pound, fully grown black bear, and it did not understand his intentions, not at all. He tried to help it over a concrete barrier on the side of the road. I chomped down on him. You know what this reminds me of when I read this? If you try to help the deep state by, like, say, covering up their blackmail operation, you think you can cut a deal with them? Yeah, they might be cute and fuzzy, but they're like that 400-pound black bear. They will maul you as soon as you turn your back. Just saying. Texter writes, Tara, call my boss. Tell her it's a short day, please. Well, she probably listens to the show, too. All right. Meanwhile, you know what you need to do? You need to go to Signature Smiles. It is now the new home of our station, of our WORD listening family. I've made the switch. Make 2025 the year you fix your teeth. How far are you driving to get to your dentist? Signature Smiles is conveniently located in Greenville, really close to 385, and they do it all. From dental surgery, they can help toddlers. They can help folks who are retired. They do crowns, cosmetic veneers, family dentistry, the works. And if you've been told that you need dental surgery, you can get a free second opinion at Signature Smiles. Make sure it's costs what it should, and it's as extensive as it should be. Make sure you're not getting work done for no reason. They do the surgery entirely without scalpels, only lasers. And you're going to love their 3-dimensional scanners that show teeth and jaw impressions, no goop trays, so much easier and actually clearer than older style measurement of your teeth. It's an unbelievable different x-ray machine. And flexible scheduling, no waiting for months. Sometimes you can get same day appointments. I got in the same weeks, and they accept all forms of insurance and are fairly priced. And you're going to love Dr. Julian. He's the only dentist there, so you're always seeing the same guy. SignatureSmilesGreenville.com. That's SignatureSmilesGreenville.com, 864-271-6213. You know, Roger, I'm not sure Team Trump really thought this thing through about Epstein.
Oh, yeah?
There's too many loose ends.
Hmm.
Let me give an example of what I'm talking about. I mean, here's just one of them. This is investigative journalist Michael Schellenberger on Fox News last night.
Okay.
Dan Bongino then said that it was his opinion that a foreign intelligence agency was behind what is not just a pedophilia ring, but really a sex blackmail operation, or what is known in the intelligence community as a honeypot. He said that a couple of years ago, but that's not even a fringe view. People sort of suggest that this is sort of a conspiracy theory. I think it's important to remember there are left-wing journalists, right-wing journalists, and mainstream news reporters, including Miami Herald, who have all come to the same conclusion that this was a sex blackmail operation aimed at entrapping powerful political people, Bill Gates, maybe the most famous, but also politicians, on camera with underage young women. And that's what it appears to be, the cameras in all the other rooms. So when Attorney General Bondi talks about tens of thousands of hours of video, I think it's understandable that the perception people had was that it was the videos of the blackmailing, not just of downloaded pornography.
Whoa. As Deep Throat advised, follow the money.
Right. And what he's referring to, he's talking about Miami. The reporting on Epstein started back in Miami. I've got a whole stack of it right now. So I'm talking about going back to the early 2000s, Miami Herald Journal and other Florida big journalism publications were reporting this as a blackmail operation, and that the Johns were famous, and that the names of the Johns were being kept at that point, under oath or under lock and key by both the Attorney General of Florida, not Pam Bondi, was a different Attorney General, but also the federal prosecutor, and covered up for us. We couldn't see it. I mean, this goes very, very, very far back. But I want to play another clip, okay?
Yeah.
Because this is jaw-dropping. This is not Pam Bondi, our Attorney General. This is Alina Habba, the President Trump's personal attorney, and also at the time she said this, White House counsel for Trump. This is almost 4 months ago. Listen carefully. Listen to what she says she has seen.
Epstein's case. It is incredibly disturbing. We have flight logs, we have information, names that will come out.
Is it going to be shocking?
I don't see how it's not shocking that there were so many individuals that were hidden and kept secret and not been held accountable. Let's talk about the reverse. I believe in accountability. So you have to now go through your process. Now, I won't say they're guilty until they go through their time in court. But again, now it's time for accountability. We have seen for so many years, Pierce, in this country, many investigations, subpoenas, testimonies in Congress, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a general frustration with accountability.
That's super duper specific, isn't it?
It really is. And to paraphrase the usual assessment, in this instance, the plot sickens.
It does. Then you've got, and this to me is very interesting, okay, because I've been following this for a while. You've got the Gateway pundit, Jim Hoft, who's a great investigative reporter. And I mean, his headline, wait, what? Question mark. If there was no Epstein client list, then why did New York court refuse the Gateway pundit's legal request for the list based on an anonymous John Doe who was on the list?
You can't have the non-existent list.
So what happened was they sued Gateway pundit lawyers, Mark Randazza and Jay Woolman of the Randazza Legal Group, sued on behalf of Gateway pundit. This is a FOIA case to intervene in Guthrie versus Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell, in the U.S. District Court of New York, right? And what do they want? They wanted the names, not a list per se, but the names of the pimps, the does.
Sure.
Right? Because Ghislaine Maxwell did go to prison for sex trafficking minors. Well, then James Comey's little girl, who is unfortunately a federal prosecutor, gets involved, right. As does another lawyer for an anonymous John Doe. Literally, the lawyer called him John, as in John's.
Yes.
Because he was a John, right? He's a pedophile.
Got it.
John Doe.
Yeah.
Files an objection in court to the Gateway pundit getting unsealed sex client lists in the court. The court agreed They existed and sided with James Comey's little girl and the John Doe. Sided with the John Doe over the interests of the press and the public. And the Gateway pundits. At that time, they were the first to sue for it. So the court thought it existed and even ruled it should remain sealed. And now we're told by Team Trump it doesn't exist.
What's no list? Yes.
That's nothing. What's lists?
Yeah, the real drama in a lot of court cases is the so-called discovery process. Because without some successful outcome, you ain't got a case.
No
how, nowhere.
Well, speaking of not having a case and not having stuff now, and then there's just all this other stuff. Okay, let's go back through time. This is the 7th of December, 2021.
Okay.
Headline: UK Telegraph. Evidence from Jeffrey Epstein's safe went missing after FBI raid. Court hears in Ghislaine Maxwell trial. How convenient is that? An FBI special agent testified to a New York court in the Ghislaine Maxwell sex trafficking trial Monday that evidence went missing from Jeffrey Epstein's New York townhome. What happened was the FBI busted on in there after they arrested him, right?
Yeah.
And they sacked the place.
Yeah.
They went through all of his properties, but
it's called absconding.
Yeah. Yes. Well, so inside of there's this big safe, and so they cracked the safe and they pull out computer hard drives, passports, loose diamonds, large amounts of U.S. currency.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. CDs, computer hard drives, all that stuff, right?
Sure.
They take photographs of the items, prove they're there, but they don't have a warrant. So they have to get one from the court. They have to have a warrant to remove from the property.
Oh, yeah.
They get a warrant overnight, come back the next day. Wouldn't you know it?
It's missing.
It's missing. Roger, you're so good.
It's an open and shut case, mostly shut.
Right. So this FBI agent who testifies under oath, which means nothing, by the way, for the FBI. Just another day of lying. So she testifies in Ghislaine Maxwell trial. Well, I called up Epstein's attorney. I said, like, where are the computer hard drives? Where's all this stuff?
Reasonable question.
Right. And he goes, oh, those computer hard drives, those CDs. Yeah, no, sure. I'll bring them to you. Fine. And he shows up with 2 full bags.
Okay.
More stuff than is in the safe. You know the biblical story of the loaves and the fishes?
Right.
How the fish just multiplies.
It's a mackerel. Yes.
It's amazing. And is it kind of like that? So, yeah, he shows up with it. And she notes, we have no idea if they're the same computer hard drives and CDs, and there seem to be more of them, oddly.
Chain of custody? What chain of custody?
Yeah. So look, there's a part of me I've never seen this before. Everybody on in MAGA world, I call it MAGA world, with all these Trump supporters online. I can't find a single person who supports Team Trump on this. I can't find one. It's crazy, right?
No.
Okay.
Well,
but there's a part of me that goes, wait a minute. These deep state folks, they're evil but not stupid. They wouldn't let Trump have the master list of the Johns. Well, we'll just let it fall into Trump's hands. Said nobody ever.
Right. Of course not.
So the idea that Trump has this but is hiding it, I'm struggling with that too.
Yeah.
But then there's the other side of it. Why then Team Trump should just come out and go, hey, listen, they deleted it, or they erased it all. They're scoundrels. And we'd get that, right? We'd rage over it for a few days. We knew they'd delete the evidence of the Johns, and then we'd be done with it. But they're covering for them, Roger.
It's exactly what it sounds like. I mean, what everybody's had to say so far adds up to that.
Did you hear about the video?
Oh, yes, I did.
You know the video that Bondi and Patel and
stuff. Yeah.
Gaslit us with. See, here's the video. Look, it's all the hours beforehand. See, look at it. And
there's nothing.
This proves that he, killed himself. No one went in his cell. Yeah. You know what they forgot to kind of mention, though? And this was super duper dumb, because the Office of the Inspector General had already put it out there in a report.
Mm-hmm.
That video camera, it's focused on 2 doors. If you've seen it online,
exactly.
Neither one of those is Epstein's cell.
Right. Yeah.
Let that sink in.
Wrong house.
Yes, that's exactly. So where is Epstein's cell? Hell, too. Yes, I suppose. Where is Epstein's cell? Well, that's from another angle.
Okay.
So, in other words, somebody could have like broken in there, fought with him for 2 hours, come out with 2 black eyes. You'd never know because it would be on the other video angle. Well, where's that video? Don't know. It wasn't working. So they totally gaslit us. See, here's the proof. Case closed. He didn't kill himself. He didn't get murdered. He killed himself. Case closed. Nobody went in there. Well, that's not what that video shows. You lied to us, which is why Resign was trending yesterday.
Yeah, sure.
But for Bondi.
Right.
But all that got more complicated when Trump defended Bondi and Kash Patel, and then Resign stopped trending.
Well, 3 words: to be continued.
Oh, yeah.
Actually 5. To be continued ad nauseum.
Right, because this is never going to... We're going to be talking about this for 40 years.
All right.
Yeah. But, it'll keep Unsolved Mysteries busy. So they always need new material.
Okay. Wow.
Get a load of this. I'm so addicted to this app that we have, and it shows the like top 10, top 20 news stories at any moment in the country. You can tell Fox News uses it because the second one jumps up to like 10. Boom, it'll just like, I mean, give 10 minutes later, it'll be on their news. They can tell by hits and clicks, right? So this lets me monitor relative levels of propaganda, but also whether we're breaking through. And we're breaking through in a way I've never even seen before. I mean, it gets better every week. I'd say 2/3 of those are ours. Never seen that before. That's X right there. You could thank Elon Musk. No, look, I know the guy has hit like level 4 Trump derangement syndrome. He goes any further, he'll be like at Rosie O'Donnell. And will want to move to Ireland, except he can't go there because Europe's trying to arrest him. So, I mean, for letting free speech happen here in America. So I don't know, but number one right now is this BS. Climate change made European heat wave up to 4 degrees Celsius hotter. Study. That is absolutely fake. I'm going to debunk it in a second. And number 3, the U.S. faces more frequent extreme weather events. But attitudes and actions are not keeping up. Oh my gosh, climate change. Okay. What? They refuse to tell you. Both of these are AP articles. The AP has yet to report that we now have, and have since 2023, New York Post has reported, if you want to read it, record levels of ice sheet gain at the North and the South Pole. So it's not a fluke. And it's gaining at the fastest rate ever. Why? We're in a mini ice age because solar activity's changed. As Tony Dale has come on the show, he's a former meteorologist, explained many times, we've been tracking the cooling of the world. And there's only so long that the mainstream media can hide this. But I want to take this one apart because it's been trending on and off since yesterday. It's a big lie. U.S. faces more frequent extreme weather events. It's one of these wire stories. So all these supposed news sites are picking it up, and it's a total crock by some guy named Seth Borenstein, who is a fiction writer. And it's unfortunately Associated Press article as well. Now, again, the Associated Press they are blacking out the 2 peer-reviewed studies using NASA data that show that the ice sheets are rapidly thickening. He writes, this month's horrific flash floods with unfathomable amounts of rain fell in only hours. More than 100 people died. It's very tragic. That's true. Before 2021, typical temperature for the Pacific Northwest and Western Canada seemed unlikely to get a killer heat wave, but they did. Tropical Hawaii, blah, blah. He goes on and on and on. He says, climate change is making extreme weather events more frequent and intense, according to climate scientists and government data. Except that NASA data, right? The NASA data that you're ignoring about the thickening ice sheets there, because that ruined a really good, talking point. Anyway, the headline is U.S. faces more frequent extreme weather events, but attitudes and actions aren't keeping up. And he goes on and on about how the flood in Texas is a part of that. Yeah. So that's like what you're saying then is that hasn't really happened before, right? Like, didn't even happen in, say, 1987 when a church camp on the banks of the Guadalupe flooded and children were swept away? Well, it has. That's the problem. Events aren't getting more extreme. Journalists are just refusing to check their own newspaper archives. So we did it for them.
On Friday morning, July 17th, 1987, the small town of Comfort, Texas, became the scene of a heroic rescue and tragic loss. Much of the footage you will see was taped on that day by the banks of the Guadalupe River.
It was the day they were supposed to go home. The more than 300 children at the church camp were awakened early. The river was flooded. If they didn't leave soon, their buses might not be able to leave at all.
They come in there rushing us up and everything, telling us to get up, get packed and all this stuff. And everybody was asking why. They said we got to get out of here because the river was flowing over.
We started going around the corner. We would go down the hill, then water started coming in the bus and stuff. We tried to back up, but then the bus got stuck, so they made all of us get out of the bus.
And that's whenever the first wave hit us and started scattering people to different trees.
Kids clinging onto the trees like ants, surrounded by rushing water.
Chris Ray was the first to be rescued.
It tragically shows a 14-year-old girl exhausted in the water, and she's reaching for the rope, and she can't hang on. She's washed away, and she died. Very, very sad, very scary. And how did that happen? Massive, drastic, 20-plus foot rise in water in less than an hour. Wait a minute. We've heard that story before. Yeah, this is 1987. In that case, they tried to leave in a bus, but the flood came so fast down the Guadalupe, again, flooding out a church camp on the banks of a Guadalupe River. You know what? Here's the lesson. Don't build a church camp on the banks of a Guadalupe River. You think people would learn, but they didn't. This is, by the way, in the county next to Kirk County, so it's right down the road. Anyway, they all grabbed hands and formed a chain and tried to exit the bus to get to higher land, and the water just busted through and washed away over 30 people, 10 children dead. So this whole idea that we're having extreme weather events, and this is now the number one trending story in the country, the AP's lying their rear ends off because of climate change. No, Guadalupe is flood prone. By the way, did you see the cover of the New York Post? Their county council there actually, because they knew it was flood prone, especially flash flood prone, and they knew it was particularly a problem in the middle of the night because water's quiet. It's very silent, right? It'll creep up on you. They considered $1 million for a warning system. So as the water rose, it would trigger the alarm. They decided it was too expensive. Somehow that was Donald Trump's fault somehow, or some way, but also not Joe Biden's fault, just so we're clear. Right. You know what the best thing to do is just ignore stuff the Associated Press says, because they lie. And it's really not helpful. got some criticism on my Facebook page from a listener. That's okay. I can take it. I started to type a reply, but I went, well, you know what? I'll just do it on the air. Why not? It's from Allison, who is a longtime top fan of mine. She's actually got the top fan designation on Facebook. She's probably listening right now. Hey, Allison, here's what she writes. So many times that you were correct, ! So many times that you were honest, but you will not be honest about Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu. Tara, you have an Overton window that you will not cross. I think she's mad at me because a lot of people view what we have done in Iran and what we still need to do. We've got still got a lot of people to kill and a lot of sites to take out. As I have documented exhaustively on my Battleground America podcast, we are still in mortal danger from this country. I do not view what we are doing there as for Israel. I'm thrilled that we have Israel go in and drop the bombs for us. Gives us some cover. They're, of course, totally morally justified after the slaughter of 1,400 innocents. But no, I don't view it as bombing on behalf of Israel. In fact, I don't think we should attack any country on behalf of Israel. I'm not interested in doing that, and I would never support that. This is personal. This is about trying to kill Trump. This is about the 4 individuals we have in federal prison now awaiting trial for attempting to murder Trump. And I'm not going to play the audio again. I've played it many times of Donald Trump saying they tried to kill him, of Donald Trump being resentful of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden for not even so much as sanctioning them for trying to kill him. This is war. They started it. And you cannot let this country get nuclear fissile material. This is a country from whose military has leaked a plan to detonate a nuke when they get it as an EMP over our country and destroy parts, if not all of our grid. That's an existential threat. It's one of the few threats we've ever seen. I mean, look, folks, you listen to me for years. I've played Tucker Carlson and Tulsi Gabbard. I don't want to hit Russia with another missile. I think it's insane to send more, weaponry to Ukraine. We should hit them financially because we still have allowed Russia to fund its economy with mass oil sales to China. They ought to be hit with a 500% tariff, both of them. Then we tariff anybody doing business with them, especially if they're buying the Russian oil. It's not hard. We don't need to hit them with military equipment. We have been striking deep inside of Ukraine. And by we, I mean we hand the equipment over to the war room in Baden-Württemberg, Germany. We hand it to NATO, and they kill Russian civilians at a rate that is unprecedented. And that's why Putin's firing back like he is. We are pushing them to the brink of World War III. That's insane. So when we started, when we're the ones who are the aggressors, we have been in Ukraine and Russia. We are the problem. And that's not just me. That's Marco Rubio said that. He said, yeah, it's a proxy war. We started it. We did. It wasn't us. It was Barack Obama trying to get in a war with Russia, trying to start something nuclear. I don't know. These people are crazy. They're Democrats. They're crazy. Who knows why they do what they do, but they did. And they had worked on that war for many years. I don't want to hit those people. I want peace with them. We should do it through economic strength. But when somebody is a true existential threat to the president of the United States of America, this country, I will bury them. And that is what is going on. It has nothing to do with Israel. Again, I'm glad that they're helping us, but we're not fighting on behalf of Israel. And if you think we are, you are delusional. Which brings me to this. I don't know why our side isn't talking about this more. Maybe because so much else is just going on right now. Do you know what the reward on Trump's head is right now from Iran? Or maybe you're just fine with it. $21 million. It's $21 million bucks. They're not hiding it. I mean, they're right out there in public with it. So if you're good with that, you and Tucker Carlson can go hang out together. And Candace Owens and whatever other nuts out there. The THAAR.IR regime-linked website in Iran is now offering over $21 million to the person who assassinated Donald Trump. Keep in mind, there's 2 fatwas on him. One by the Ayatollah himself and one by the highest-ranking cleric. These are calls for his death. And it says it's a moral obligation of Muslims, Shia Muslims everywhere, to murder him. And by the way, if you can get away with it, here's $21 million bucks. Now, what is the justification for this? I don't see Israel in here anywhere. Assassination of Qasem Soleimani. Why did Trump kill Soleimani? Anybody know? No, of course they don't. You wouldn't know. They keep you dumb. Soleimani had killed or maimed over 600 of our troops in Iraq with his IEDs. Under Joe Biden, over 135 catastrophic brain injuries from which our troops will not recover. Iran has done that. Soleimani was planning another joint base hit. He was going to hit multiple bases at one time. And Trump said, enough. He's killed and hurt enough of us. I'm going to kill him. That is a proper, rational response. That is how we should protect our troops. And if we don't protect our troops, we don't deserve to have troops. That's why I got so disgusted at one point under Biden. I was saying, don't join the military. He will literally let Iran fly their drones in, give your child a catastrophic brain injury, your child who's serving overseas, fly out, and there won't be so much as a sanction. Trump has got to hit back hard because of what the Democrats did. So assassination of Qasem Soleimani, way overdue. Glad he did it. He doesn't deserve to die for that. They did it. They were the aggressor. And they should expect equal and opposite reaction. Let's see what else they say. Bombing of 3 Iranian nuclear sites. You didn't see that coming. Listen to this. Exiting the JCPOA. They want to kill him for exiting Barack Obama's nuclear deal? That's one of their reasons for killing him. $21 million bounty on his head. You okay with that? Because I'm not okay with that. I am not okay with that. You saw Tucker Carlson talking about the... Oh, wait, you didn't. Yeah, see, they don't have an answer for it. Think about this. That's how good Barack Obama and Joe Biden's nuclear deal was with Iran. Iran wants to kill Trump for leaving it. Why? Because it gave them permission in year 5 to buy the missile on which to deliver the nuke to our shores from China and Russia. That's why China felt comfortable enough doing the targeting of our naval ships for the Houthis as Iran supplied them with the missiles and the drones to hit us. 2 Navy SEALs still at the bottom of the ocean, the Red Sea. You good with that? Because I'm not good with that. None of that has anything to do with Israel. So I'm not delusional about Israel. I understand Israel perfectly. I have a lot of reservations about giving them the bunker busters. I'm afraid they'll turn right around and sell them to China. They have a history of that. They've betrayed us that way. I don't like Netanyahu. Got reservations about Israel. But I'm also a realist. And we got to stop Iran now, because you let them partner with the Democrats in one more administration. Oh my gosh, we'll have so many dead troops. Probably a toasted grid. People desperate for food, and maybe Republican presidents will have to campaign from bunkers as Iran tries to kill them on our own soil and the Democrats laugh. I don't live in that world. None of that has anything to do with Israel. So my son comes to me yesterday, says, Mom, Trump and Bondi made Alex Jones cry. And I went, what? No, that must be an old video. That can't be real. But of course I had to see it, so it brings it in. Yep, it's real. Apparently it has come to this. Trump, Pam Bondi, Bongino, the whole crew have made Alex Jones cry. You got to hear this. This is nuts. Okay. And unfortunately, I figures it's not firing. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll play that audio on the other side. Because here it is. Okay. Wait, here's another. Okay. Let me hit this version. Here you go. Alex Jones in tears over Epstein, folks. Actual tears. I enlarged the screen. They did roll down his cheeks.
So now by coming in and being part of the cover-up, the Trump administration has become part of it. I mean, it's just, you cannot see it any other way. So I just got to the office. I'm going to go throw up, actually. And this only happens every few years when something really, really bad happens or something. I mean, I'm physically going to puke probably right now. My mouth is watering right now. It's because I have integrity. And, I just really need the Trump administration to succeed and to save this country. And they're doing so much good. And then for them to do something like this, tears my guts out. And
yeah. Folks, I've never seen anything like this. Alex Jones, Eric Erickson, who's kind of a mushy mush, moderate, Glenn Beck, Laura Loomer, Tom Fitton, all calling for the resignation of Pam Bondi. Here's Fitton of Judicial Watch.
I read the memo 3 or 4 times again this morning, and it's really, I don't think even the Biden administration would have written anything like this. I just don't think they could have thought they could get away with it. And I've got to wonder what is going on at the leadership of the Justice Department and the FBI to allow them to think that.
Yeah. It's a bloodbath on X right now. All right, coming up, folks, this one is worth waiting in the parking lot for. This is going to blow your mind. Wait till you find out. And folks, I've been arguing USAID has been at war with the American people, and particularly with our troops for a while. They've been helping our enemies kill our troops. We didn't know it, but they have been, even during the Trump administration. Oh, Katie barred the door. Wait till you hear this. Coming up. You know, Roger, what we recently learned?
What's that? I'm
From the
always
Iran-
happy to learn something.
Well, yeah, no, from the Iran bombing, it's just the absolute supremacy of the U.S. military and our tech.
Yeah.
I mean, even Israel doesn't have the bombers, and we do.
Well, nothing like the stealth. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're a liberal, you hate America. That just seems so unfair. Right? And like, how are we even going to have enemies if we don't help them?
Oh, I got you. Yeah, we're literally running out of enemies. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so anyway, my X feed is a literal library of USAID going all the way back to the time of Donald Trump funding our enemies. And the more our enemies kill us and other people, the more excited that they would get at USAID, those liberals inside USAID, you know, the ones with the rainbow flags and the nose rings and the multicolored hair.
And the more money they needed.
Right. The more money they would need just to make it even more fair. Right. And they were more so if you're killing a lot of people, like say Hamas.
It's only reasonable.
But it's only reasonable. And I started looking into this actually before it was cool, because Senator Tom Cotton blew the whistle and said, wait a minute, USAID had sort of stealth funded Hamas almost $1 billion. Because Samantha Power, a very evil individual who was a holdover from Obama, had forgotten to ask a very important question. Look, I get she's busy. She's married to Cass Sunstein. She's got kids. So you can forget important things like asking Hamas, like asking charities you're giving $1 billion to. Are you affiliated with Hamas?
Right. Right. Or any other organization that would like to see us all dead.
Right. Like them.
Yeah.
The rapists on the hang gliders. Those guys, they're great otherwise. But I mean, yeah, no, they're a problem. And so they had, and I wondered this, Roger, because we kept hearing about how, like, Gaza's so broke and they don't have any food and the people are standing in lines and stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And it's weird though, because you would see these missiles go flying over from Israel, but then they would be returned. There'd be missiles come back from Hamas. And you'd be like, in Gaza, you'd be like, where are they getting the money from that? USAID.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. And so, look, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, they've always been big fans of funding our enemies and have done it for very long, as I've documented. They were absolutely busted up last week, blistered Trump for defunding USAID.
Oh, yeah.
Because now it's not even going to be fair. I mean, think how boring wars will be. We'll come in, curb stomp them in, 25 minutes or less, and then we'll just go right back watching football. You know what I mean?
And they've got a storied history. I mean, they were the ones paying off the warlords in Afghanistan.
This goes, like the poppies that they were growing to fund the IEDs that then blow the legs off our troops. And then Tunnel to Towers has to build them houses because they don't have legs. So they need special houses. And I would be like, maybe it'd be cheaper if we just didn't fund the Taliban. That's crazy. Well, anyway, I've got this on my X feed. Actually, you can scroll down and find it. We funded the poppy farms via USAID for $200 million, totally monetized them so that it would increase their yield by 8 times.
Yeah, bailed them out.
Yeah, so then they can build the IEDs, go to war and kill us. All this was during the Trump administration, but we weren't wise to it back then, right? So George Bush is mad because who are we going to fight if USAID doesn't fund them? I mean, after Abbey-gate and the murder of the 13 at Abbey-gate plus 100 plus Afghans, they got so excited about what's going on there at USAID, they sent almost $2 billion to the Taliban.
Billion.
Yeah, billion. In actual stacks, you could see the pictures of the dollars on pallets being sent to the Taliban. And my favorite is this one shot from the Gatestone Institute. And it's this Talibani, and he is standing there, as I would be too. He's sitting there actually next to his stack of cash. Yeah. And he looks like it's like a child on Christmas morning. He is so excited.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's USAID. And we can all be grateful that they are no longer in business. The problem is, before that, they might have, Roger, quietly sent thousands of viruses to China.
Yeah.
Like viruses that, if you had the technology that, say, Fauci gave them.
In certain laboratories.
In certain laboratories, you can make a bioweapon.
Wow.
You want to take a guess what address they sent it to in China? I mean, maybe what city? What you got to guess?
Would it be where the home of a famous pharmaceutical laboratory and testing facility has been known about for many years, actually?
Yeah, the Wuhan lab.
Wuhan.
Also known as the foremost bioweapons lab of the People's Liberation Army.
That's just a subsidiary.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Wholly owned, but just a subsidiary.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Daily Caller, breaking this story, the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, one of the most evil organizations on the entire planet, reportedly shipped thousands of viruses to a Chinese military-linked biolab in, say it with me, Wuhan. Well, this, you don't even have to read the article, Roger. You already know where it went. It's just so predictable.
Unfortunately, predictable is the word, but it seems to catch a lot of people by surprise.
I know.
In very high places.
USAID sent 11,000 viral samples to the Wuhan Institute of Virology over the course of a 10-year program, despite not having any formal agreement with the laboratory, according to documents obtained by the Daily Caller. The viruses were reportedly sent to the infamous epicenter of the Chinese coronavirus pandemic, with the exportation being funded by USAID, which seemingly failed to devise a strategy that would prevent the samples from becoming bioweapons. Small oversight.
Yes, they forgot about the safeguard thing. Yeah.
And also failed to develop a strategy for them to stay accessible to the U.S. government.
But I wonder if they even got a receipt.
Well, there's the documents. The $210 million USAID program, dubbed PREDICT.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Which failed to implement a long-term storage plan for the bioweapons it sent to China when funding ceased. Was spearheaded by the University of California, Davis, and involved gathering virus samples from around the world. See, China was not doing a good enough job killing us and everyone else, and so we had to help. It's part of the pattern.
And it was a money-saving thing, too. Let the college kids do that.
Yeah, let the college kids do that.
Yeah.
I'm just referring to that video where they were like, and then we found out Trump was going to defund us, and they were coming in, and Doge was coming in, so we had to take down all of our rainbow flags.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, they did.
And they were like,
and Voice of America was just vitriolic in their scoring of the administration. I tuned in a couple of stations just out of curiosity to see their reaction. And yeah, it was.
Well, so I'm personally wondering. I mean, yes, you had now the new lie is 11,000 people have died of tuberculosis since Trump defunded USAID, and all these people they're dying. And I would argue that actually less people are dying now that we have defunded USAID. I mean, like, who's going to pay for the bioweapons now? I mean, who's going to transfer the deadly viruses? And the answer is nobody that I know of.
Apparently, nobody on at least the federal payroll. So,
yeah, I'm trying to understand here. I mean, China's our worst enemy on earth. You're shipping them bioweapons. Over in Fauciville, they're shipping them via EcoHealth Alliance the ability that they did not have, the science that they did not have to weaponize those viruses is called gain of function.
Mm-hmm.
How are these people not in prison? Can you not make a good treason case?
And of course, they're also the world's deadliest polluter.
Which really seems like a small thing compared to this.
Well, so the question is, how can we make a case? Who do we sue?
I don't know, but I know there's no statute of limitations on treason. Roll the dice, give it a try. If for nothing else than just our entertainment, we can run it on C-SPAN. So
certainly liven up C-SPAN a little.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of treason, while we're on the subject.
Sure.
Yeah. Do you ever think you'd see a time in America where the heads of our two foremost intel agencies are both under criminal investigation simultaneously?
Not since the McCarthy era.
No. Turns out McCarthy was on to something. We should have listened to that guy.
Touche.
With a smile on my face, I'm happy to report this morning that the two biggest thugs in the U.S. government, James Comey and John Brennan, who also happen to be the heads of our two largest and most famous intel agencies, the FBI and CIA, are now referred for prosecution and officially under criminal investigation. Good. Part of the problem, though, is that the statute of limitations on the worst of their crimes is expired. Folks, remember who Brennan is for a moment? A full whore of Brennan. You can Google this and just even see some of this. This guy illegally spied on members of the Senate, including Rand Paul and Lindsey Graham. When they were investigating the CIA, he was investigating them. That's the kind of thug he is. And he lied about it. Then he got busted. He lied about it under oath, which is, of course, a felony. He's committed so many felonies, I've lost track. Lied about it to the faces of the people he was spying on, and then was allowed to come back in later when irrefutable evidence emerged that it was, in fact, the case, and apologize, essentially admitting that he'd committed perjury. And nothing happened. Nothing happened. They didn't even fire the guy. So he illegally spied on members of Congress, no predicate, no warrant, because he just thinks he's God. They huffed and puffed about it, Rand Paul and Lindsey Graham alike, in interviews, but never did a darn thing. He got away with it. Can you understand how hard it is to crack this and why, for whatever reason, I don't know what it is, we still just can't see. If the intel agencies want Epstein protected, he's going to be protected. I mean, if you could do that to the faces of the Congress members who are supposed to oversee you, but who you no doubt have compromise on, and get away with it, oh, this guy's off the chain. The idea that one of them could ever actually be convicted seems impossible. And look, folks, unfortunately, the jurisdiction of this is the post-American territory of the D.C. federal court. So they'll probably be rewarded from the liberal jury. I don't know that we'll ever get a conviction unless if there's a trial, they can move it out of D.C. to non-post-American, like say red territory. It's still recognizably American. Then we can maybe have some jurisprudence, but I don't know. But just having them be investigated, maybe the left forced to finally confront the fact that Russia collusion was a hoax is enough. Our side, by the way, is not doing a very good job explaining the crimes these two committed. They're babbling on about Hillary Clinton, dossiers and stuff. People's eyes glaze over. Ned Ryan nailed it pretty well, though. Here's the big picture from Fox News. It's today's first epic rant.
There's going to be people on the left and the corporate propagandists who are going to start screaming, this is political revenge. This is about settling political scores. That has nothing to do with any of that. This actually has to do with restoring the rule of law and the equal application of the law. John Brennan, of everything that we're seeing now, went out of his way to include the fake Steele dossier, which he knew was fake, in that 2017 ICA, to legitimize that document so it could be justifiably used to target the duly elected president of the United States, Donald Trump. And then James Comey and Andrew McCabe and James Baker, who was the general counsel of the FBI, knowingly used the fake Steele dossier not once, not twice, 4 times to secure those FISA warrants to backdoor spying on Donald Trump. This is a gross and egregious abuse of power and of trust, and I would consider highly illegal acts. And so for me, Lord, this isn't just about the present. In many ways, this is about who are we going to be 20 years from now? The American people have lost a lot of confidence in our institutions, and the way that we restore trust is to actually have consequences for the wrongdoing that has been, I think, pretty obvious over the last 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, after the JFK assassination, Jason, people lost faith in institutions, Vietnam War, people lost faith in institutions.
So here's the problem. John Brennan knew darn well that the Steele dossier was fake and that Hillary Clinton's campaign had committed a felony paying for it. FCC slapped her on the hand. I'm sorry, the FEC. She had to pay a fine because she's a Democrat, so she didn't get to go to prison or anything. To create the fake Steele dossier. Remember, Brennan would take it to the White House as head of the CIA to Barack Obama and Joe Biden personally and say, listen, this is fake. Hillary's campaign made it up. Russia collusion hoax is fake. And by the way, the Russians are really angry about it. And he would write handwritten notes. He's covering himself, letting everybody know, hey, listen, I told them. After that, he takes the Steele dossier, which he knows is fake, he has written is fake, has briefed the Obama White House is fake, and puts it in the Russia collusion hoax, what they call intelligence product. Then this fool goes to Congress. It says how very, very, very serious it is that Donald Trump is obviously a Russian agent and Russia tried to get him elected. He knows that's fake, and he knows the evidence for it is fake. When Congress finally figures out the Steele dossier is fake and Hillary cooked it up, they ask him under oath, hey, did you base this Russia gate on the Steele dossier? He says into the microphone under oath, no, why, no, I didn't. No, it's definitely not a part of the intelligence product that we're basing that on. Well, it was. He'd insisted it be included over the objections of the top 2 Russia people in the CIA who are like, this is fake. Because Russia collusion was fake. And then the guy made a ton of money going on CNN and lying and lying and lying and lying. And this is why so many left-wingers need psychological help. I mean, like, really have racked up bills at the psychologists because they think that Russia took over their country. They think they nearly lived through a coup because, I mean, like Obama's CIA director told them. They can't fathom the idea the guy's a lying psychopath. And I don't even count Comey, who was telling the same lies, even though he knew darn well the Steele dossier was fake. He told the same lies to Congress. That's called perjury. It's a felony and carries up to 5 years in prison. Then they took that whole mess to the FISA court. Perjured themselves multiple times. Comey signed under penalty of perjury. Yeah, James Comey. There's his name right over it. Yeah, John Roberts runs the FISA court. He's, Supreme Court Chief Justice. He could put Comey in prison. He could have put Comey in prison from the beginning. He lied to the court. It's a felony. Roberts never has, though. Wonder if he's on that Epstein list. Speaking of which, oh my. Wait to hear what came out overnight about this whole Epstein thing. Folks, this is better than a spy novel. And it's got the whole internet in an uproar. Has to do with the video in the jail. And when Bill Barr, Glenn Beck, and Laura Ingraham agree, we're on to something. I'll tell you what it is coming up next. Okay. This is plumb stupid. You know how that memo came out from the FBI and the DOJ? Epstein killed himself. And here's the video that proves it. Look, see, it covers the outside of his cell for like all the hours before his death. See, nobody came and went. They forgot to tell you the important part, though. The video camera wasn't pointed at his cell. Oops. Well, what were we watching in the thing they released with the definitive conclusion, with the video as proof, of course, that Epstein, in fact, had killed himself? Had to have, because nobody entered his cell. Oh, his video pointing at some other cells. One of them is a supply closet. Well, wait a minute. Where's the video of Epstein's cell? About that. There isn't any. What? What, a camera malfunctioned. Conveniently. So that's not video of Epstein's cell? No. Well, why did Team Bondi say it was? Oh. She confused? Is Kash Patel confused? Or are they just stupid? I don't even know at this point. You know, I wondered about this when I saw the video because I was like, I thought that the video malfunctioned. I mean, even Bill Barr told me that, former attorney general and arch villain, on the Jesse Waters show like 2 years ago.
When I first heard all the information and all the coincidences here, I was suspicious.
What were the coincidences? I mean, those were a lot of coincidences.
Well, one of the cameras was out.
Right.
He was supposed to have a cellmate. Cellmate left. They didn't replace the cellmate. And the guards who were supposed to check him every half hour didn't check him.
My EMT source said he was on the scene immediately to pull Epstein's body out to the morgue. And when he got to the cell, he saw 7 people there touching Epstein's body, moving stuff around.
Yeah, okay. So even Bill Barr was telling us years ago, like, no, there's no video of it. I was confused when the video came. I'm like, where'd they get video? I thought the video was out. Well, they don't, it's not video. That's not Epstein's cell. It's the same floor, but it's not Epstein's cell. You know who published that, by the way? It's been out for a while. The Office of the Inspector General of the federal government, the DOJ, which is over the federal prison system. Listen to the guys on Glenn Beck report this yesterday.
So I looked around to see if there was any confirmation on what this cell was, and I found an OIG report from the Justice Department 2 years ago that shows the camera angle and the one camera that was actually working. So you can see the diagram, and I think we actually have it if you're watching this right now. There's a diagram that shows where this camera is. It shows where Epstein's cell is. And the big thing that stands out, Glenn, is this camera doesn't even have eyes on Epstein's cell at all. Like, not at all.
That's incredible.
4 different.
Okay. Were they trying to gaslight us? I guess. Okay. The area that the camera actually focuses on, yes, theoretically, you could walk through it and go to Epstein's cell, and it shows nobody walked through it. But the problem is, there's this whole other area on the right that you could also walk through to go to Epstein's cell. And it wasn't anywhere. So like you could have walked in there, spent 2 hours in there, come out with 2 black eyes and run a blood down your face from fighting Epstein for his life, and there'd be no recording of it. They kind of didn't mention that. Does that seem a little dishonest to you? It did to Glenn Beck, who had this reaction.
Pam Bondi needs to be fired. Who is rolling this out? The little rascals? Panky. Look, I got some videotape. What are you doing? This is ridiculous. This is such absolute incompetence.
Laura Ingraham dealt with it a different way. She just kind of slides it in there. And I can tell she didn't want to make a big thing out of it because she's got a lot of Trump supporters in her audience. But we don't shy away from that kind of thing.
Now, the video also doesn't show the door to Epstein's cell, but we do see what appears to be his last moments outside of it. The DOJ Inspector General says this blurry figure in orange is Jeffrey Epstein being escorted for the final time.
Yeah, and that's at 7 p.m. We don't know what happens for like 11 hours after that because the video's not on his show. Folks, the whole thing made poor Alex Jones cry yesterday. Real tears. down his face.
So now, by coming in and being part of the cover-up, the Trump administration has become part of it. I mean, it's just you cannot see it any other way. So I just got to the office. I'm going to go throw up, actually. And this only happens every few years when something really, really bad happens or something. I mean, I'm physically going to puke probably right now. My mouth is watering right now. It's because I have integrity. And
here's the tears.
I just really need the Trump administration to succeed and to save this country. And they're doing so much good. And then for them to do something like this tears my guts out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and here's the problem. This is then White House counsel for Donald Trump, Alina Habba, who, by the way, is also for years his personal attorney, explaining what they had. And this is remarkable in retrospect. It's about 3.5 months ago.
Epstein's case. It is incredibly disturbing. We have flight logs, information, names that will come out.
Is it going to be shocking?
I don't see how it's not shocking that there were so many individuals that were hidden and kept secret and not been held accountable. Let's talk about the reverse. I believe in accountability. So you have to now go through your process. Now, I won't say they're guilty until they go through their time in court. But again, now it's time for accountability. We have seen for so many years, Pierce, in this country, many investigations.
It's very, very specific. Now, Pam Bondi was asked yesterday about her claims.
DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive.
Yeah. She was asked about that yesterday. Says the whole thing's misunderstanding.
In February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get.
Okay. Somebody asked Alina Habba because she was like, yeah, we got flight logs. All these people are going to jail. We're going to try them, all the Johns. What do you see the list? Is it? Or she just have to file too? Was it a misunderstanding? Because that was super duper specific. I don't know, y'all. Strangest thing I've ever seen. That's saying something. Kash Patel, too, sure seems super convinced 18 months ago.
That Bill Gates is lobbying Congress night and day to prevent the disclosure of that list. And why is it that the Senate, and good for Senator Blackburn to try to get it out, but then Dick Durbin comes over the top and says, no, we're not going to release the names. I don't care about the list itself, but if you release the names, right? What the hell are the House Republicans doing?
Got me, bud. Well, Gavin Newsom sleazed his way through the state. You see that? Normally I wouldn't care about a thing like that. But here's why it's a big deal. Jim Clyburn accompanied him. Said he felt good about his chances when he visited South Carolina, critical presidential primary state. And look, Joe Biden was nearly dead. And actually, his campaign, I mean, but like him too, I guess, physically as well, now that we know that. But, Don, in fact, his campaign was on death watch. The media was joking about it until he came to see, he hadn't won a single primary, came to South Carolina. Clyburn endorsed him. He got to black vote and got him over the hill. So somehow sleazy Newsom has gotten Clyburn to support him. He hasn't endorsed him. I mean, it's early. They'll have to see how the polling comes out after this one. But campaigning with Clyburn, yeah, that's a special privilege here in South Carolina, because Clyburn is black and beloved by the black, community here. Now, to give you some idea of the kind of people that Clyburn supports, he's all in on Mancami, Moron Mancami, the NYC guy, who, by the way, by the day, looks like more of a disaster. Did you see what he tweeted? All these old tweets are coming back. He wants to use the government to confiscate landlord's property and house the homeless in it. Now, you do that, you can be housing the landlords in it because they'll be homeless too. You can't just go take people's property. But that's the plan. I mean, but that's what communists do. Is classic communism. I don't know if you've seen the headlines there in the last few weeks. I mean, absolutely, just absolute disaster. One of them is Mancami. Post a picture online of himself flipping off the statue of Christopher Columbus because, of course, he hates America and everything about America and American history. Said last year as mayor he would arrest Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, have him extradited to the International Criminal Court for trial. Then he got caught lying on his Columbia application for Columbia U, where, by the way, his father's a professor. He said, check the box, that he was black. He's not black. Later said, I was trying to capture the idea that I'm Ugandan. No, that doesn't mean you're black, honey. So lied about that. But lying really is almost a prerequisite for office for Democrats. None of this seems to be denting his popularity one iota. But now the Democrat leadership that hasn't endorsed him has a problem, especially Hakeem Jeffries, who's from New York. Yeah, the House Speaker, Mancami, is now trying to figure out how to primary him. He's looking for candidates. So look, folks, you're watching, forget socialists. These people aren't socialists. These are communists. You're watching communists take over the grassroots of the Democrat Party, which is funny until one of them actually wins something. Then it's not so funny anymore. Good morning, Roger Davis. Of course, in for Lee Rogers.
The vacationing Lee Rogers.
Yes, the vacationing Lee Rogers, who will be back soon. Okay, Jim Clyburn asked on CNN, do you support Moron Mancami as the mayor of New York? I cannot say the man's name. I have given up, so I just named him something else. It works better for me.
Close enough.
Yeah. Okay. Do you support Moron Mancami? We now have him flipping off Christopher Columbus, vowing very explicitly in an email to confiscate landlords' property so as to house the homeless, saying that government needs to seize the means of production, and that and that violence is not actually violence.
What? No collective farms in Central Park?
So, I mean, this guy's a classic communist. He didn't get any more classic than this. And so Clyburn's asked, do you support this guy?
Wow. That's what you call a loaded question.
Yeah. And of course, James Clyburn is not just a Democrat representative from South Carolina, which is scary enough. He's also the former number 2 in Democrat leadership.
Oh, yes.
That's right. So, I mean, this is a big deal. If he supports you, then,
Coronation.
It's a coronation, right? I mean, look what it did for Joe Biden. Joe Biden wouldn't be the president without.
Rescued his candidacy.
Absolutely. So, with all that baggage, what do you say, Clyburn?
At this point, do you support Mamdani's candidacy as the Democratic nominee for mayor of New York?
Absolutely, I do. I support Democratic nominees.
So, just to be clear, you support Mamdani's running, or I guess his position as the Democratic primary winner. Is that an endorsement? Are you endorsing him as mayor of New York City?
Long pause.
I support the Democratic nominee.
That is called the yellow dog response.
I would love to interview this guy, James Clyburn, because I had so many questions.
Yeah.
Is violence an artificial construct? That would be my first question.
Oh.
Right? When liberals committed, I don't know, maybe, 10 or so Antifa black bloc clad terrorists like them, when they commit violence and shoot a guy, is that actually violence? Because this is Mamdani's, Mancani, whatever, his response on that.
Oftentimes, we've even found as legislators, when we go into these courts, the term violent crime is even used when people are stealing packages. Violent crime is even used when people are accused of burglary and there happens to be a housing unit in that same dwelling. So violence is an artificial construction. And we have to be very clear that what is happening here with these district attorneys, that is violence. That is violence at the highest degree.
Okay, so prosecuting a Democrat, which I guess he's assuming there every burglar is in fact, I'm just going with what he said, is in fact violence. The prosecution is the violence, not the breaking into people's house in the middle of the night.
The extension of logic, yes.
Yes, because burglary as a charge is different from breaking and entering. Breaking and entering is what happens when you're at work and the guy comes in to steal your TV but doesn't want to kill you. Burglary is when you break in when they're home. That is
conditional crime and conditional violence.
Exactly. So, I mean, that is a violent crime. That's why we call it a violent crime, but not anymore. No, if he wants your TV and it's night in your home, then you just step aside, hand him the TV, be nice to him, hope he doesn't hurt you because it's not violence.
Nobody gets hurt. It's all over. Done. Yeah.
Right.
And it's good for the economy because you got to go out and replace the tube,
Right. Right. So this is the guy who, I mean, at this point, if you're Jim Clyburn, if you're the Democrats, you cannot possibly have missed this. Because it was everywhere.
Whether it's BDS, right, or whether it is the end goal of seizing the means of production, is that it is critical that in the way that we organize, in the way that we set up our work and our priorities, that we do not leave any one issue for the other, that we do not meet a moment and only look at what people are ready for, but that we are doing both of these things in tandem, because it is critical for us.
If you put the word communism in Google right now, and you pull up the definition, the AI definition will pull it up. It says means of production is centrally controlled, government control. They actually use that phrase, means of production.
Yeah, nationalizing industry is the first move. Well, look at Cuba under Castro. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they even nationalized the nightclubs. Yeah.
So what? No, but I mean, with the, and so then you have, okay, so you got Clyburn now is coronated. We're going to back Mancami and Senator Chris Murphy.
Do you think so that Mamdani is the future of the Democratic Party?
Well, I think his message, his economic message, is the future of the party.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. All right.
That's the platform.
Look, look, conservatives better not blow this off. They intend to go full commie, Roger.
Oh.
And they do win races sometime. I mean, this is scary.
Well, you can't fault the would-be mayor for his abject, his proud honesty. In fact, he's very assertive about what he believes and what we are therefore to believe.
Well, they better watch out, because Hakeem Jeffries has so far declined to endorse Mancami.
Now, that's a telling thing.
Right, but he hasn't unendorsed him either, just condemned him, right? So now you got Clyburn climbing on.
Now that Clyburn has, Hakeem will probably come around now.
Well, he better, because CNN is reporting Democrat socialists in New York emboldened by Mancami's mayoral win are warning they may go after 5 House incumbents next, including Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
Oh, borrowing the POTUS playbook.
Yeah, well, no. So I am sure that Jim Clyburn read this before he went on CNN and went, wow, I don't want to be next. I want to die in office of old age.
Time to get assertive.
Yeah.
Maybe a long pause, but that's the worst of it. Yeah.
So there's a war going on, and it's communist versus socialist in the Democrat Party. I think the communists are ascendant. Never thought I'd see this in this country.
Oh, well, I find myself saying that so often, I just about quit saying it. Actually.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, no, but think about it. I mean, you're growing up even in the 80s, right? I mean, we were fighting the USSR specifically because it was communist.
Yeah.
They were our enemy, Cold War.
Oh, I was growing up in the 50s when we were taught to dive under our little wooden desks when we saw a light brighter than 1,000 sun because of the commies.
Right, as if that would help, right?
Well, yeah, sure. A little turtle with the civil defense hat,
You too can survive a nuclear bombing under your desk.
I think that's a lot of what was wrong with my generation.
Yeah. Come out of that pretty messed up.
Warped in the stems. Yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I think this morning, there's so much going on, people are getting lost in the weeds, but I think this morning the unified message from talk radio needs to be this is not just rhetoric. The Democrat Party has become a bona fide terrorist organization, confirmed with 2 terror attacks this week in Texas.
And now we want to unmask ICE and make them wear ID badges visible from a distance.
You know what's even worse than that? Do you know the details of this? And to announce this the week that the Democrats are trying to kill ICE officers, their Antifa followers are, and there hasn't been a single condemnation by a single Democrat Congress member of the attacks in Alvarado and
none that I've heard.
No, and McAllen, Texas, none, 0, right? And you choose this week to introduce legislation. You know what it would do, Roger? Here's the scary thing. It would take their mask off, right?
Yeah.
But here's the other part. It would make them display their government-issued ID. What's on your government-issued ID?
Well, of course, it's your name and your face, and as well as essentially how to contact you.
Your address.
Well, yeah, sure.
Right. So let me get this straight. The week that they have gotten 2 confirmed attempted kills by their terror cells, ambush kills, one of which they waited in the, for them to come to work in the parking lot. They want you to have to display your home address where you do not work. What, so they can ambush you in the driveway?
Well,
this is a hit. This is an implied threat.
It's way beyond bad optics. It really is.
It's homicidal at this point. It's homicidal. And then you got Senator Chris Murphy, who this guy, man, who just a week ago was telling us violence isn't a two-side thing. It's all on the right. This is while their followers are literally setting Jews on fire.
This isn't a both sides issue. There is no comparison to what's happening on the right to the way in which Donald Trump regularly uses the threat of violence to try to intimidate his political opponents, and anything that's happening inside the Democratic Party or on the left. This isn't a both sides issue.
Wow.
He had nothing to say after the second or even the first terror attack in Texas. So,
did you see that data miner comment that was just published on our company mail there? The Iranian Supreme Leader Khomeini, Mohammad Javad Lashani. A small drone might hit U.S. President Trump in the navel while sunbathing at Mar-a-Lago.
No.
Yeah.
I did not see that. Is that on our web? I should check our website,
Mark. Yeah, it's a quote. It comes from Washington. The date is today.
Wow. Okay. Well, that fits because, the bounty on Trump's head from Iran is up to $21 million.
$21 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So they pay really well to hit him. But Tucker Carlson, just to be clear, is cool with that. And so is Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's no big deal. It's not a thing. So. Let's put this all together. We've got Moron Mankami explaining to us that actual violence by Democrats is not violence, but prosecuting Democrats is, in fact, violence. These are all little hints something is afoot here. You've got not one, but 2 terror attacks in Texas on ICE after Democrats absolutely called for that. Oh, and then there's this.
Democrats are doubling down on their anti-ICE stance with a new bill from Senators Cory Booker and Alex Padilla requiring ICE agents to be unmasked and carry a visible ID.
The bill is actually pretty straightforward. No face coverings, no masks. I mean, if you're out in the streets of Los Angeles, whether you're a citizen, a legal resident, or an undocumented immigrant, and somebody without these identifiers is approaching you, masked up, coming out of a marked car, you have no idea what's going on.
Despite the recent attacks on ICE agents, and let's be clear, Joe, those were attempted shootings and killings of ICE agents. They tried to kill these ICE agents, Joe. What are they doing here?
And let me answer your question with a question. How many Democrats have condemned those 2 ambushes that we saw last Friday and Monday against ICE agents and police officers that included one officer being shot in the neck, others surviving 20 to 30 rounds of shots from high-powered rifles carried out by far-left maniacs? 10 are now under arrest for attempted murder. Because unless we missed it, and I'm pretty sure we didn't, I haven't seen anyone on the left side of the aisle walk up to a microphone to condemn those attacks and defend those agents and officers. And yet here we have Senators Cory Booker, Alex Padilla attempting to put ICE agents in a situation where their identities are known, that puts them in danger and their families in danger. This is only going to get worse before it gets better. And as Tom Homan said, this is going to result in our federal agents actually being killed. We already saw attempts on their lives just last week. And again, over the summer, as ICE agents try to do their job, you got to think more ambushes may be in store. And unless members of both sides of the aisle and the media condemn these without ambiguity, it's going to keep happening over and over again.
Yeah, and this is a guerrilla war. I remember as a kid, we used to hear about those. They'd be like far, far away in South America, Central America. They're here. They're here now. Nah, they're running around, these Democrats vowing to take property, vowing to resist federal troops. I mean, this is crazy. We now have attempted murder by Democrats and no condemnation. And I mean, I don't know who is doing the communications for the Republican Party. Trump's doing his job. Where's the condemnation? Where's the challenge specifically to Democrat leaders? Hey, you know what? Condemn this. Condemn it. Step up. No condemnation. We're good. Folks, let's stack it all up. This is after the CEO of United Healthcare was assassinated by a far-left extremist lunatic who CNN celebrated, by the way. 2 staffers at the Israeli embassy in D.C. were shot dead by another radical far-left extremist Democrat. 13 severely wounded and 1 dead in a firebombing in Boulder by another far-left anti-Israel Democrat radical. Far-left rioters destroyed, LA caused insurance estimate $160 million in damage to LA with anti-ICE riots. And at some point, we're going to need a hardcore crackdown on these loons. Are we going to lose control? Is it going to spin out of control? And folks, these Antifa loons would probably have been bailed out and walking the street if Joe Biden was still president. That's the difference. Meanwhile, they hep him up and hep him up and hep him up. Did you hear this? This is Joy Reid interviewing James Carville. Now, remember Lee's rule, because it is always correct every time without exception. Whatever they are accusing us of is what they are doing. So if you want to know what their plan is for the midterms, but also what they're telling their sheeple, here you go.
He's not acting like somebody who worries that his party will lose power. This is somebody who is behaving as an autocrat because they don't anymore believe. He said it during the election. I don't need your votes anymore. And he doesn't. I don't think Trump intends to leave office. I'm very clear about that. I think he intends to stay in office like Putin till he dies.
I went on Jim Acosta's podcast,
And I said that I thought that there's a good chance that Trump would try to do something to postpone or fool with the 2026 election. Of course, you had the usual chorus of ass wipes, pontificators, chin scratches, gray beards. Oh, Carville's gone too far. That's what these people are. Gigantic, colossal fools. The polls are going to come in. They're going to be way behind. He knows what's coming. He's going to try to do anything he can to squirm out of taking responsibility.
Yeah. So what that means, I'm going to translate that Democrat speak for you. They're saying we're going to steal the election. We're not going to give up power, which means they are busy trying to steal the election. I just don't know how yet. You know, a clue was when they were chanting death to America. See Netanyahu at the White House? What did I tell you? That when Trump got the BBB through, when he finished getting his domestic agenda through, the war with Iran would resume, and for really good reason. And it is. It's on. And we have to stop. Look, folks, when you have seen Iran merge with the Democrat Party the way that it has, we've never been in a national defense situation like we're in right now. When you have the Democrat Party accepting Iranian money, marching in the streets, funded with Iranian money. It wouldn't surprise me if Antifa, those two terror attacks, were funded with Iranian and Chinese money. That's going to be the next shoe to drop, run through Democrat networks. Why not? The violent riots were funded with Chinese money. We know that. That's fact. Mainstream media has reported it. When you have a Democrat Party that is merging with Iran in the way that it is, so much so that when Iran tries to kill Donald Trump on our own soil, and we don't so much as levy a single sanction on Iran, I think the Democrats were snickering. Folks, this can't stand. This regime has to be destroyed. That has nothing to do with Israel. Israel is not even a factor. I'm glad they're helping us. I'm glad they are out there to do the bombing. So we don't have to. A lot of it, but it's nothing to do with Israel. It's not even about protecting Israel. We're long since past that. And now this. A senior Iranian official said Donald Trump can no longer safely sunbathe in his luxury Florida home, warning the U.S. president could be killed while lying out in Mar-a-Lago. Trump has done something that he can no longer sunbathe in Mar-a-Lago. This is a quote. A small drone might hit him in the navel as he lies there with his stomach to the sun. It's straightforward, said Javad Larijani, a senior advisor to Iran's supreme leader and brother of two of the Islamic Republic's most powerful political figures, in remarks aired on Iranian television. This is in addition to the second fatwa and the $21 million bounty they've now put on Trump's head. And folks, all of the, if you go and you look at the bounty, and they lay out very specific, Iran does, lays out very specifically on the website why. Number one, the killing of Soleimani. Well, whose fault is that? That's Iran. Soleimani was targeting our bases. He'd already hit multiple bases. There was a plan to hit 3 at one time. Trump said no, killed him. The exact correct response. You don't get to go kill our troops. After that, not a single troop died. That's exactly how the commander-in-chief, that is what the commander-in-chief owes you. If you sign up to go in the military and give your life for this country, then by God, if somebody takes that life, then they ought to be held to pay. Trump just did what every other president should have before. Stop using our troops as cannon fodder and make sure they don't get killed. That's the solemn bond. Every president owes that. If you are killed, then we have to avenge you. It keeps the next wave of troops safe. And for that, Iran's going to kill him? Really? Folks, did you see that? I don't know if you watched the Sean Ryan show. He's got some incredible sources. He sat down with a guy from the Defense Intelligence Agency 2 weeks ago. I've been meaning to play this audio for you because it's mind-bending. And the thing is, I don't doubt that it's true. Take a listen to what this is the guy that he is interviewing is Intel with the Defense Intelligence Agency, which is in turn the intelligence agency of the Pentagon. Take a listen. Let me hit this again.
But we had 2 solid sources, one south of the border and then one from an element within our own government that confirmed independently of each other that Iranian-made man pads to surface-to-air missiles had come across the border. We had the location and everything else. Well, we got this to Secret Service. We did the whole gamut and got everything pushed to them. And that's why Trump was pushing a lot of this stuff out when he was, because we had told the Secret Service and they had the reporting and everything else. We have not, to my knowledge, have not recovered those man pads. But what I do know we have done is we have apprehended the couriers on a second run of theirs, and local law enforcement got together with federal law enforcement and rolled up the safe house. And we have since identified what that issue was on the border.
So we now have Iranian missiles
who knows how many, and inside the United States.
Wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't be hard to do. When you think missiles, people think drone, they think like the kind that you order on Amazon. But keep in mind, the Houthis have used those drones and the missiles given to them by Iran to sink. They've already sunk one ship, killed 4 sailors, launched them at our naval vessels. These are serious missiles delivered by serious high-tech drones. None of this would surprise me. So, folks, you're talking about, for the first time in our adult lives, a real, actual enemy in Iran. And look, I get it. You're tired. You're burned out. You're tired of being lied to about our enemies. And so many fake enemies over the years, fights we've picked, fought wars we didn't need to be into for profit. I get it. You're tired. But I'm telling you, folks, this is a real deal. And what is even more frightening is this is a kind of war America has never seen in its entire history. There is no parallel. There's no precedent. Because here's the thing. You notice the part where Iran tried to kill Democrats? Did you see the part where Iran tried to kill a Democrat president? No, you didn't. Why? They only hunt Republicans on our soil while marching in our streets with Democrats. They didn't try to kill Joe. They tried to kill Trump twice on Joe's watch. They didn't try to kill Joe. They didn't put a fatwa on Joe, much less 2 like they have Trump. Folks, understand where we are. If you are taking the position we should leave Iran alone, peace, 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 then what you're saying is every future Republican candidate for president is going to have to campaign from a bunker underground somewhere so he's not to be slaughtered on our soil with the Democrats snickering the whole time. It's untenable. Can't be done. You throw nuclear fissile material into that, folks, you don't need a nuclear weapon. That's not even my biggest fear with Iran having. It's a suitcase bomb. You know what they can do with our stock market with a suitcase bomb? They don't have to hit us with a nuke. You know what they can do to a president, a vice president with that? Again, have I said the word Israel one time? I haven't. Some of you are so hung up on Israel. I don't understand the obsession with Israel. Some of you are so hung up on Israel and this idea that we are fighting this war to defend Israel. Folks, not even close. Not, and we shouldn't go. I mean, Israel, fine, they can take care of themselves. We shouldn't fight on behalf of Israel. We should fight with Israel on behalf of ourselves. I mean, I don't know what more it's going to take for people to get that. This is an existential threat inside our country because you cannot tell where Iran ends and the Democrat Party begins. Well, we may never get those Epstein documents, but we will get jobs. Those of us who are Americans, that is. Breaking news from Fox News reporting right now. I'll retweet this. You have it. I think these numbers are incredible because it's not supposed to happen. Since Donald Trump took office, U.S. worker boost, 2 million more Americans in the workforce, native-born workers, 2 million more. Foreign-born workers down, negative 543,000. It's happening. Now, I thought that Americans didn't want to work, but it's super duper weird when you get rid of their competition, which employers know they don't have to pay taxes on, so they prefer them. All of a sudden, here come the American workers. It's crazy. It'd be a shame to short circuit this with some kind of amnesty or a worker program for illegal immigrants, even farm workers. Laura Ingraham asked Labor Secretary Brooke Rollins about that because the Trump administration has been a little sketchy on it lately. I want to play the whole thing for you. She doesn't really answer the question.
Madam Secretary, earlier today, President Trump made a comment about what to do with illegal immigrant farm workers. Watch.
There's no amnesty. What we're doing is we're getting rid of criminals, but we are doing a work program.
But last week, the president said something different in Des Moines.
We're going to sort of put the farmers in charge. If a farmer's been with one of these people that work so hard, they bend over all day. We don't have too many people can do that, but they work very hard and they know them very well. If a farmer's willing to vouch for these people, in some way, Christy, I think we're going to have to just say that's going to be good. Serious radical right people, who I also happen to like a lot, they may not be quite as happy, but they'll understand.
Well, I mean, Madam Secretary, which is it? Because first of all, radical right, that's the majority of Americans want every illegal immigrant deported. 4 polls.
You're right.
Majority of Americans want all legal immigrants. Americans always did their own farming. When you and I were growing up, Americans did their own farming. There were a few foreign workers, but really not that many. What's going on here?
Well, I think first of all, and I was glad the president underscored this today, first, no amnesty.
Well, Bush said no amnesty, so did McCain, but they meant amnesty.
I think President Trump hopefully has earned a little more grace, not grace, but a little more confidence than those. But no amnesty, second mass deportations continue. But he has been fairly specific that we need to make sure that we don't compromise our food supply. So we are going to mass deport, but we have to make sure we focus on the really bad guys first in the inner cities, LA, New York, et cetera. Number 3, moving toward more automation, but also moving toward an American-based labor supply. You and I have talked about this on screen, off screen. That's the goal. And then finally, for Congress, our Secretary of Labor and others to really begin to fix this. The president is unequivocal in his support for farmers, but also weighing that with his support for secure borders and mass deportation, ensuring we don't have that illegal population here. He remains committed to that, and we're here to effectuate that vision.
Who's the far right?
Well, I don't know. You know, it's all of us.
I'm feeling a little far right. I mean, I've been covering this issue since 1996 when Bill Clinton had Operation Gatekeeper, the San Diego border. He actually took it seriously. Democrats used to care about these issues. But I think the concern is that once you start making carve-outs, hospitality here, then there's farmers there.
It's going to lead to everyone. She never officially answers the question. So let's hope Trump keeps it up. He's having fabulous success and doesn't seem we're running out of American workers. In fact, they've been there the whole time. They seem to want jobs too. Weird. Who would have thunk it? Mike Gallagher's up next. Talk to you tomorrow. In the meantime, be sure to check out the Battleground America podcast wherever you get your podcasts.